true crime podcast where best friends and next door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
We're doing another forensic first today.
That's right. And what is our first this day?
Blood spatter evidence.
I love blood splatter analysis.
Me too.
So good.
And it's so cool how, you know what I've noticed with all these cases? It's one dude gets a crazy hair up his ass, and he's like, huh.
But
what if I did this? And I don't know. It just fascinates me, and I think this is one of the coolest months we've had.
Yeah, it's like
really like
like scientific discoveries mixed in with its applications.
I done learned shit on this one.
Love that.
We all gonna learn today.
I want to learn.
It makes me want to go look at some blood spatter like a psycho.
I actually look at crime scene photos sometimes just so I can see. Like,
and then make my own detective case. Yes, it's very fun.
It's not creepy.
I will warn you all in advance. Neither one of these cases I'm presenting today will have a satisfying conclusion. And they're pretty sad, actually. Okay, so I'm going to trigger warning, content warning. Of course, I'm going to be talking about blood. So if that bothers you.
God.
Also, suicide is mentioned. So just keep that in mind. If that bothers you, skip ahead. And just like our other forensic firsts, I like to present two cases. One where the technology and science was first used, and another case where it was vitally important. And sometimes the old stuff gets used in a new way. And this, oh my gosh, the more modern case has such a crazy twist. I can't wait to go over it. I'm so excited. So yeah, blood spatter. And this is probably one of my favorite forensic sciences.
Yeah, definitely.
I just find it endlessly fascinating. So the brutal murder of the wife of a prominent surgeon in Cleveland, Ohio in 1954 shocked the community. She'd been viciously beaten to death, her face smashed and gouged. Blood soaked everything in that room. The husband was charged with her murder, but the blood painted a starkly different picture of the crime scene. 40 years later, a Las Vegas real estate magnate goes missing and turns up dead in the desert. Blood spatter evidence would be the key to unlocking who murdered this man. So let's start with a case in 1995. I like to start there.
Yeah.
Man, the 90s, I miss them.
Don't you?
I do. Simpler times, no social media. Man, and if you wanted to go somewhere, you wrote that shit down and got a map and a highlighter.
That's right.
That's how I drove to California in the late 90s. And you know what else was cool in the 90s? Fucking raves. Those were fun. Can we do those again?
No, my head hurts.
Please send me into a K-hole. Everything's expensive and I hurt.
I miss Jenko's, though.
I miss the shit out of Jenko's. Them pants was always wet on the bottom, no matter what you did.
It didn't matter
if it's raining or not.
It didn't matter if you put them on and the sun was shining. As soon as they got on your body and you walked out the door, it started raining. Yeah, it was every time.
They were magic rain pants. Maybe that's what caused climate change. We all stopped wearing Jinkos.
Oh, y'all bring it back. Y'all fashionistas.
Y'all ever seen a goth wear Jinkos? I did it.
I love it.
I had black ones and a cute little sparkly black crop top. I was so hot back then. Oh my goodness. I would have banged me. Anyway, let's be serious now. In January of 1995, on the shores of Lake Mojave, which is just south of Las Vegas, some fishermen make a startling and grim discovery. As they're returning from their trip late at night, their flashlight shines on something stark white. It's a skull, a human skull. And I think it's interesting how often outdoorsmen find remains.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how Lacey Peterson was found. She was found by hikers, fishermen, hunters, hikers. You just hear it all the time.
It's usually the skull, too, because it's like a round white object.
It just stands out. And I can't tell you how many cases we've covered where a couple of guys fishing think they see a mannequin only to discover it's a human body.
Right.
And these fishermen were kind of the same. They believed it was a Halloween prop. They were like, no. But they called police anyway, just in case. So as the sun rises, investigators arrive at the scene on the shores of Lake Mojave. Initial examinations revealed 3 bullet holes in the skull, which was not a Halloween prop. So they knew they were definitely dealing with a homicide. Not far from the skull, investigators find evidence of a fire pit, and inside are the charred remains of a person. And the skull was burned as well. So they keep poring over the scene, and they're just trying to find any clues to help identify these remains. And near the fire pit, they find a bracelet. On the bracelet, spelled out in jewels, are the letters R-O-N, Ron. And I will tell you this, that is the most Las Vegas thing I've ever heard of. To have, like, a bracelet with your name on it in jewels. A woman named Marilyn Rudin had recently reported her husband Ron missing about a month prior to these remains being found. And investigators suspect the missing man is Ron Rudin, her husband, and use the skull to compare to Ron's dental x-rays, and it's a match. So now they have to find out who wanted Ron dead. And in order to do that, they have to kind of go into his background. So Ron had been shot 3 times with a .22 caliber gun at close range. His body had then been burned out in the Las Vegas desert and left there with the hopes it would never be found. At the scene, they find no evidence to suggest that Ron was killed where his remains were found, because there's no bullet casings and there's no blood evidence. Investigators, of course, then extrapolate that he was likely killed at a different location and his body was dumped there. So they have to look into Ron's past to find out who would want him dead. Someone clearly did, because he was, but it was like hard to say if he had enemies. So Ron's a complicated guy. I'll just put that out there. He was a braggart, first of all. He had millions. He was rich from real estate. In addition to that, he was a gun collector. He was always bragging to people about his wealth and his guns. And you may think that would deter someone robbing you, but it doesn't. No, don't brag about your shit.
No, I was about to say that kind of gives you away. It's kind of like a huge bulletin, like, hey,
please rob my house and shoot me in the face.
Yeah, and the same goes for, like, people who are alone. Don't ever tell somebody you're alone.
And I'm not victim blaming. No. He should be able to brag obnoxiously about all the shit he has.
There are some really shitty people out there.
There's some shitty people. In addition, he was a womanizer. He'd been married 5 times. He never didn't also have a girlfriend. He was having constant affairs, multiple affairs.
Yikes, Ron.
And I will tell you, that's motive. That's motive. You make a lot of enemies that way. Yeah. It could have been anything from a jilted lover to his wife, who was done with his cheating. It made him a target. So, in addition to all of this, his marriage to his 5th wife, Margaret, was not going well. It was, by all accounts, an explosive and violent relationship, even from the beginning. Margaret suspected Ron was having multiple affairs, and thus they fought constantly. Investigators had to rule out those closest to Ron, so of course they're going to start with a wife. You always start with a spouse.
Yes.
Because you will hear men say that it is unfair towards men that they always accuse the husband. Trust, they always accuse the wife, too. It's always the people closest to the victim.
Yeah, and it's the case with children as well. They always blame the parents.
As it should be. Yeah. So, oh, man, I have completely lost my place in my notes. That's not fun or nice. So, when informed that investigators had confirmed that the remains in the desert were her husband Ron's, Margaret behaved really strangely. She started, like, aggressively rubbing her eyes, like jamming her knuckles into her eyes, and the detectives realized she was trying to make herself cry.
Oh, come on.
Like, bitch, don't even do that. Just look sad.
That's so annoying.
Naturally, this is very suspicious.
So stupid.
So police are then able to obtain a warrant and execute a search on the Rudin home. Now, a cursory look, and nothing seems amiss. It's a lovely home, and, we'll have pictures and all that stuff. It is a really nice house. Everything's neat and tidy. But then they go to Ron's study. That's where Ron kept his gun vault. And when investigators looked into the vault and compared it to the listed guns that Ron owned, they found that many valuable guns were missing from the collection, including a .22 caliber pistol, which is what he was shot with. So that was certainly suspicious, but still pretty circumstantial, and didn't tell them who killed Ron or why or even where. Investigators combed through the rest of the house, and when they searched the master bedroom, they found very small, like teeny tiny reddish-brown stains on the ceiling and on some of the walls. Ooh. These little spots really looked like blood, but they had to be sure because, look, a lot of things can make a little reddish-brown stain. Ketchup, sweet and sour sauce.
Fly poop.
Fly poop, roach poop.
And other types of insects.
Yes. Yes, there's certain bugs that literally just poop out red stuff.
And on the ceiling, too, a lot of
That's
flies.
where they'll go. And look, if you got this in your house, I ain't judging you. I live in the South.
There's a reason why we know.
Listen, I'm always scrubbing that shit because, like, we get flies so bad in the summer. It's so fucking gross.
I've cleaned a lot of houses, too.
So how do they tell something is blood? Well, there's this little test they do right on site.
That's right.
So to do this, they swab a few of the stains and use a chemical test known as hemosticks. This creates a chemical reaction using tetramethylbenzidine. Woo!
Good
I
job.
said that all right.
That's
God damn. My luck is good today. So when the swabs are dipped in this chemical compound, the swab will turn a yellowish green in the presence of blood. The swabs turned that color, so it's blood. It's definitely blood, but they had to prove not only who it belonged to, but how it got there. Blood is 3 to 4 times thicker than water. And that is not just a saying, it's true. Blood is made up of several components. Red blood cells, which carry oxygen around our bodies. White blood cells, which fight off infections. There is also a substance known as plasma, which is a mixture of water and proteins. And plasma is what carries the red blood cells. Blood is also comprised of platelets, which are cell fragments, and that helps the blood to clot. Blood is complicated. Blood spatter technicians study the patterns blood leaves behind for clues to know how a murder was committed. Blood, for example, will land in a certain way when it's cast off a blunt object. Let's say a hammer.
Right. Because it's heavier than water, it'll leave a certain
trail.
Yeah.
And we'll talk all about that too. They can tell the direction the hammer struck the victim, depending on how the cast-off blood lands on things like walls and floors. It's a very interesting field of study, and I'm really pumped to talk about it.
Fuck yeah.
Blood spatter can reveal how a victim died, where they died, where the killer stood in relation to the victim, and what weapon was likely used in the commission of the crime. They can get all this information from just blood spatter. They don't even need the weapon or the body, just the blood. And that's like magic to me. It's amazing. The study of blood spatter has taken hundreds of years to evolve to where it is now. Just like the previous episodes this month, the science builds on discoveries and studies of the past. So here's some of those discoveries in the past. In 1901, Joseph Hoeing Castle developed a chemical test that determines if a liquid is actually blood or not. It is still used today in hemosticks. In 1930, Carl Landsteiner won the Nobel Prize for his discovery that blood comes in 3 major types, A, B, and O. In 1939 in France, Victor Balthazard, which is the coolest name of all space and time, along with his colleagues noticed that blood spatter changes in relation to the force and speed in which it exits the body. But it won't be until 1954 that the science and analysis of blood spatter patterns would be used to solve a crime. And this case is bananas. It is so interesting. And it's interesting for 2 reasons. 1, it was the first time blood spatter analysis was used. And 2, it was the inspiration for the story The Fugitive, which was made into a TV show and later a movie in the late 90s.
I've seen the font for it, but I haven't actually watched it.
It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man.
Nope,
Yeah.
Not ringing a bell.
The movie is about a man falsely accused of killing his wife.
Oh.
And he's on the run from the law. It's a really good movie.
Those stories where somebody's falsely accused and then they get justice at the end.
Well, you're not going to like the story. Okay.
Damn it.
It was on July 4th, 1954 in Cleveland, Ohio, that 31-year-old Marilyn Sheppard, pregnant with child number 2, was murdered in her bedroom as she was sleeping.
God damn it, Cleveland.
She was savagely beaten to death. When detectives arrive, they enter a bloody, horrific scene. There is blood spatter everywhere. Pictures are taken, and the husband of Marilyn, Sam Sheppard, is interviewed. He claimed to be asleep downstairs when the attack occurred and woke up to his wife screaming. He ran upstairs and saw the bloody scene and a figure who then struck him on the back of his neck. Sam fell to the ground dazed, and the attacker had gone by the time he got his wits about him. Investigators think that the crime scene looks staged to be like a robbery because it does look like somebody rummaged through things. And then things go from bad to worse for Sam when investigators uncover that he's had a series of affairs. Sam had been incessantly cheating on his wife, Marilyn. So this gives motive, and Sam Sheppard was now the prime suspect in his wife's horrific murder. Dr. Sam Sheppard is arrested and charged with her murder despite his cries of innocence and the fact there was literally no blood found on his person. No blood spatter at all. How he gonna bludgeon her to death and have no blood on him?
How is there blood everywhere in the room?
Except him.
Not him.
Yeah.
And he can't clean up that fast.
And Sam Sheppard was, immediately tried by the court of public opinion.
Right?
Everybody believed he was guilty.
Right? Mm-hmm. Court of public opinion. That's a good... I've never heard that before.
Oh, yeah, I say that all the time. Mm-hmm. So it was no surprise that he was found guilty of second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison. And you'd think that would be it. Right. But it wasn't. Sam Sheppard worked on his own case while in prison. He even did really heroic things, like by agreeing to be a test subject where they injected live cancer cells into his body.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he wasn't fucking around. He went hard.
Why would you do that?
Because he's in prison, he has nothing to do, and he's a doctor.
I'm bored.
Inject me.
God,
yeah, it's really crazy. So his lawyer, too, really believed in his innocence and didn't want to give up on him. Mm-hmm. In January of 1955, Sam's lawyer contacted a man named Dr. Paul Kirk in California. Dr. Kirk was a well-known biochemist and criminologist who ran the criminalistics department of UC Berkeley. His area of expertise was in microscopy, which is the study of forensic material that can only be viewed under the lens of a microscope. Fucking cool nerd alert. Dr. Kirk was shown the crime scene photos and the blood spatter on the walls. Then he gets this feeling that analyzing the blood spatter might reveal things about the murder that had not been revealed before. He wasn't thinking about the blood spatter evidence as we do today, because that we didn't have that science.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
He was kind of just really curious about it, and he was pretty sure new evidence could be unearthed by looking closer at the way blood was distributed on the walls. Dr. Kirk agreed to look into Sheppard's case, but he had one condition. He wasn't going to look at it to prove anything but the truth. If he was to work on this case, it would be the truth he uncovered. If his evidence that he gathered pointed to Sam as the killer, he would say so. But Sam was adamant, and his lawyer was too, so they agreed to Dr. Kirk's condition. Now, what's really a surprise in this case is that 7 months after Marilyn's horrific murder, the crime scene was still perfectly preserved. No one had gone into the house, all the belongings were still there, and no cleanup had taken place.
Wow.
That never happens.
They must not have family close by.
I explain it here in a second.
Oh, okay.
That means all the blood spatter was still there. Basically, it was under the prosecutor's control during the trial. Jurors then walked through the house to look at it themselves.
How terrifying.
I know. After the trial, the prosecutor released control of the house to the Sheppard family. And the thing is so Marilyn's father was a widower. Her mother died when she was in grade school, and he was not in good shape mentally, so he didn't want the house, obviously. Sam's parents didn't want the house either, so it just sat there, pretty much. Yeah. And this is not a common occurrence, y'all, but man, Sam was more than lucky that this was the case. Dr. Paul Kirk got to work on the crime scene, and he was delighted, of course, that it was so well preserved. Mm-hmm. He focused on the blood stains on the wall. He thought just by looking that the blood had to have been moving fast through the air, given the way the spatter was on the walls. He also noted the stains stopped in certain places. He wondered what that meant exactly. Some drops are big, some are small. Dr. Kirk had to determine what all this meant. And there's like nothing to back him up. This is all brand new science, which is so cool.
Without the research that we have today, his research probably, it's almost like reverse engineering, like hieroglyphics. You know what I mean? Like reverse engineering the scene.
Yeah, it's
without
really
knowing how.
It's really wild to me how that all works. So, yeah, there are three main categories of blood stains. Drip stains, or passive stains, as they're called, happen because of gravity. Blood on an object simply drops off onto a surface. These stains are round and fat and don't usually have long tails on them. The second type of stain is called a transfer stain. This is when you have blood on something like your hand or a cloth, and it touches something that doesn't have blood on it. So it's a transfer stain. And they're like usually smears and streaks. The third type of stain is spatter. This is when there is force behind an object with blood on it, and blood will then hit with a drop and a tail. Sometimes the droplets are very fine, and it produces like freckling, like almost like it's vaporized. And their spatter is put into three categories: high, medium, and low velocity. The shape of the spatter will be different depending on the velocity, and analysts are trained to know the difference, which is amazing. At the Sam Sheppard crime scene, Dr. Kirk doesn't have this training and is going off instinct and just kind of like common sense. He knew ahead of time a lot about the case. He knew that Marilyn, for example, had been bludgeoned to death. Dr. Kirk notices that the closet door in the bedroom, which was close to the bed where Marilyn was murdered, doesn't have any blood spatter on it. None. That told Dr. Kirk that that was the area where the killer stood.
Yes.
Using string, Dr. Kirk marks where the killer would have stood, where Marilyn's head was on the bed. He marks where the killer stood on the floor with an X using tape. Dr. Kirk is certain that he found the spot where the murderer stood. Next, Dr. Kirk stages a reenactment. He uses a big flashlight, because that's what they believe the murder weapon was, and tries to recreate the pattern of blood spatter. But no matter what he does, it doesn't match. The cast-off pattern just doesn't match. It is completely wrong. And it's just like, really, he's just sitting there just thinking, why? Like, maybe all of his theories are wrong. And it is this pivotal moment of whether or not this is going to become a science or not. And it just gives me the chills, man.
I'm really excited about this.
There was no other way for the blood spatter not to have gotten on the... He knew where the killer stood, but why was it not matching? And then he switched hands.
Oh.
The killer was left-handed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
It made the perfectly... It matched perfectly.
I love that.
Sam Sheppard was right-handed. He was in prison for a crime he did not commit.
Shit.
Yes. And Dr. Kirk is like shitting himself. He realizes he needs more evidence. So he then moves to examine a large blood stain that is on the closet door, but it's different. It's not spatter. It just looks kind of pressed there. But he has no way to figure out, like, because he's never done this before.
Right.
So he goes into his lab. He has a literal bucket of human blood. He has the flashlight, and he is flinging blood all over the place and cannot recreate this stain. And then he's standing there, and it comes to him in a bolt of inspiration. He dips his hand in the blood and presses it to the wall. So they have a partial handprint in blood.
Yeah.
But whose blood is it? Because... there's no bucket of blood for the killer to dip their hand in.
Right.
So where did this blood come from? So Dr. Kirk kind of surmises that it's likely the killer's blood, and he was injured while he was struggling with Marilyn. Ooh. So if he can prove using blood typing that the killer's blood type was different than Marilyn's blood type, and she was type O, then he can type it against Sam. And if Sam isn't the same blood type, you see what I'm saying? He's not the killer.
Brilliant. Bloody brilliant.
Yes.
Get that.
I got it. I just didn't respond because it is stupid.
I thought it was brilliant. Bloody brilliant.
So to type blood, they use a test called a blood agglutination test.
Sure.
Yes, they do. So when liquid is added to blood, the cells clump together, and that's called agglutination. And it's part of what's used to determine blood type.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the blood type was also O. So he assumed it was probably either that they had the same blood type or it's Marilyn's blood. But he notices something really weird. When he adds water to Marilyn's blood, it agglutinates real quick. When he adds it to the other sample that was found on the door, it does it really, really slowly. So that tells him these are not the same blood samples. So he determines the killer's blood is the one that's on the door. So now all they have to do is blood type Sam Sheppard, and if it isn't O, he is innocent. But he's in jail. So how are they going to do this?
You can't just get it from him?
No, they don't want to. The courts are just not hearing this shit. They're like, yeah, whatever. They're denying all of his appeals. Sam Sheppard's brother was also a doctor, and he visited him in prison and secretly took his blood. He then smuggled it to Dr. Kirk, who then typed it. Sam Sheppard had type A blood. He could not have been the killer. And I don't know about y'all, but I just think that is the coolest shit in the entire universe. It's just rad. Yeah. Sam's lawyer moves to get Sam a new trial, but this doesn't happen. The Court of Appeals rejects his query for a new trial because it seemed too far-fetched and the science was too new and too untested. Sam Sheppard remains in jail for another full decade, and he's already been in there 2 years.
A decade?
Uh-huh.
Is there more?
Oh, there's more.
God damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
A whole decade.
In 1961, Sam's lawyer passes away, and things aren't looking good.
Right.
But then he hires a defense attorney named F. Lee Bailey. And y'all, this guy's no joke. He was O.J. Simpson's lawyer. He's been on a bunch of other... Johnny Cochran was too. O.J. Simpson had multiple lawyers. And so he was part of the defense team. And say what you will about F. Lee Bailey. He was an amazing attorney. And he died
He did his job.
Hell yeah, that's the point. People get mad at defense attorneys, and that shit pisses me off because you wouldn't be mad if you needed one.
Hey, that's right.
Amen to me. He died in June of 2021. F. Lee Bailey got the Supreme Court to overturn the case entirely, claiming that Sam's right to a fair trial had been violated due to the media's influence. Sheppard's conviction is thrown out, and the prosecution moves forward immediately with a new case against him. Because they threw it out, that's not double jeopardy. He wasn't acquitted, the case was thrown out. So, and they're confident they're going to nail him to the wall. But F. Lee Bailey called Dr. Kirk as an expert witness, and Dr. Kirk explains his new science to the jury in a way that they not only understand, but like it clicks.
Right.
Sam Sheppard is acquitted.
Okay.
He is a free man after 12 years in prison, but his reputation was a ruin, and he was angry and bitter about what had happened to him. Sam Sheppard died 4 years after leaving prison.
They really should give people a new identity when they leave prison.
If it's for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you didn't do the crime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He died of brain swelling that can happen in severe alcohol consumption. And I will cover him individually on Patreon because his entire life is just fascinating. He was even a pro wrestler for a while.
Wow.
And he also returned to medicine where he killed 2 people because of impairment from alcohol.
Wow.
Just a sad ending.
Yeah.
No one was ever arrested for the murder of Marilyn Sheppard. Shortly after Sam passed away, a man named Richard Eberlings made a jailhouse confession to the murder of Marilyn. He had worked for the Sheppards as a window washer. He was in prison for the murder of another woman in 1989, and when police searched his house, they found one of Marilyn's rings.
A window washer?
Yeah.
How fucking creepy is that?
I know. It's just a shame he was never taken to trial for her death. And that's just the end of it. Her case is still open. But I mean, he did it. Obviously, had a ring.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was some...
Well, and they said that parts of the house was rummaged.
Yeah.
And they said that, he was gone by the time that...
Because he went out the fucking window because he knew how to get in and out of that place.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. So now back to our case in 1995, which literally has one of the weirdest twists I've ever come across. Ron Rudin's body was found on the shores of Lake Mojave, south of Las Vegas. In his home, there are missing guns and some very small blood spatter in the master bedroom. Michael Perkins, the Las Vegas blood spatter analyst, arrives on the scene. But just because the hemosticks tested positive for blood didn't tell detectives that Ron was murdered in that room. Determining if Ron was murdered in that room meant finding the rest of the blood.
Right.
Because if he was killed in the master bedroom and shot 3 times in the head, there would be way more than just a few droplets. So how do you find blood that's been cleaned up? Traces of iron from blood can remain on a surface for years. This is not visible to the naked eye, so Perkins doused the room in luminol. And we all fucking know what luminol is. But I'm going to really explain it, because I didn't know this shit. Luminol is a liquid that reacts under UV light to the presence of blood. Luminol starts as a powder made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. It is then combined with a liquid and sprayed on surfaces. If blood is present, the compounds in the luminol bind with the iron in red blood cells. This then causes it to shed electrons, which is why it fluoresces under UV light. Holy shit, that's fucking cool. I am blown away.
Right.
Wow.
It sheds electrons because they group together.
Yes.
That's fucking fascinating.
My God, science just gives me the biggest boner.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Girl, yeah.
Luminol can find the most minuscule droplets of blood. When Michael Perkins sprays Ron Rudin's master bedroom with luminol, it lights up like Christmas. It's just, he said, like a Christmas tree. It was just so much. There is high velocity blood spatter all over the walls that is consistent with blood spatter caused by a gunshot wound. Investigators determined that Ron Rudin was shot while he was sleeping in bed. Their prime suspect, the only person who had easy access to both Ron while he was asleep and the guns that Ron collected, his wife Margaret. A strange thing happened in the case as they're in this room. One of the detectives working the scene of the Rudin house realized he'd been in that master bedroom before Ron's murder. A decade earlier, that same detective was at the Rudin house because he was investigating another case. Man, Ron Rudin's previous wife, before Margaret, had killed herself in that same bedroom, in that same house, by shooting herself in the head. So you see the problem this creates.
My mouth is agape.
You see the problem.
Yeah.
It's hard to know if the blood in the master bedroom is from Ron.
Fuck, dude. How many years ago?
A decade.
Can it last that long?
Yes.
Oh.
Or if it's Ron's blood. They don't know whose blood it is.
Both.
Could
They
be
don't know.
both. That's the problem.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, what a twist.
Right?
How will they figure out this mess? Well, the answer is really simple. You would say DNA. This is 1995. DNA wasn't used that often. It was starting to get used, but wasn't really. They were using other means first, and DNA took forever and was very expensive. So how are they going to figure this out? Blood spatter analysis. That's how. Perkins can tell by the blood spatter evidence which shooting provided which splatter. The shape of the spatter and the way they determine this is using trigonometry. And that is determined by how it was dropped on a surface, where it came from, and how fast it was moving. Blood spatter analysis today uses these methods to accurately determine the evidence and trajectory. In addition, they mark the blood stains with laser pointers. I mean, basically, they're little laser pointers.
I fucking love this shit.
And then they can see the path of the blood and thus where the killer stood, what weapon was used, and where the victim was.
God, it's so cool when they put all of the lasers on all of them and then they turn them all on and they all
converge
to the one spot. Woo.
Yes. When the paths converge like that, that is where the homicide took place. And they can do all these calculations with computers now.
Yes, bitch.
And that's precisely what Perkins did. Peggy Rudin, Ron's previous wife, who shot herself in the head, had been sitting on the edge of the bed when she took her own life. Perkins didn't find any residual spatter to show this. It had either been too long or they'd cleaned it up too well. Instead, all the evidence pointed towards someone laying on the pillow when they were shot by someone standing over them.
While they were sleeping.
In addition, the amount of spatter on the wall was more consistent with multiple gunshot wounds, not just one. And here's how to explain this. It's pretty graphic and pretty gross. So each consecutive shot, the blood comes out of the previous bullet holes. Sprays out every time. Yeah, it's gross. Sorry. Yeah.
It's just like a can of soda if you were to puncture it a few times.
Exactly. So this cements investigators' ideas about the case. Ron Rudin was shot 3 times in the head by his wife as he slept in bed.
Yeah.
Another break in the case occurs a short while after the blood spatter evidence is analyzed. Investigators sent divers to Lake Mead, which is a short distance away from where Ron's remains were found, and they discover a .22 caliber pistol wrapped in a garbage bag. It's Ron's missing pistol. And they have to find out if it's the murder weapon. So they use ballistics that they matched the bullets and the gun together, and it is the murder weapon.
Right.
Yeah. Margaret Rudin was formally charged with first-degree murder. Investigators go to arrest her, but a bitch has skipped town. She's gone.
My eyebrow.
Her lawyer doesn't even know where she is. She was on the run for 2.5 years. She had gone to Mexico. She had fake IDs. She wore wigs. She wore sunglasses and glasses. I don't know why glasses make you invisible to people, but apparently they do. And just laid low. But she met another retiree in Mexico, and he wanted to move back to Revere, Massachusetts, where his family lived. And they did this in 1999, and that's what got her caught, was moving back to the U.S. An anonymous tip to police clued them in on her location, so she was arrested. Investigators believed that she did not act alone. It's important to say. She was a very slight woman. Ron was a big guy. She could not have moved his dead body by herself.
Oh. I was thinking just for the initial killing, but yeah, I forgot that he was dumped and burned. Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
I was wondering how he got there.
He was just too heavy for her to carry, but they never could find out, and she never told.
I bet she just paid somebody off.
I think she paid somebody. Or she was having an affair, and I think that's why she killed Ron.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah, so she was convicted. She was found guilty and sentenced to life with the possibility of parole.
Good.
And in January of 2020, she was released on parole.
What?
Yeah. Now, in May of 2022, Margaret's sentence was vacated. This doesn't mean overturned. It just means thrown out. And basically,
What does that mean?
It means that her lawyer hadn't done a good enough job in representation, and her appeals sat not being handled for 13 years. And that is not the way our justice system is supposed to work, and that is why her sentence was vacated. Prosecutors are now open to do another trial. They're not gonna.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the evidence is pretty circumstantial to begin with. She had to have had an accomplice. She's not naming names, and she's old as dirt now. They're not going to retry it. So, yeah, it's sad because, like, both of those cases have a pretty unsatisfactory end to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marilyn never got justice. Sam's life was ruined. And Ron died, and Margaret, she didn't get away with it. She went to jail for quite some time. She went to jail in, like, the year 2000. She was in prison for 20 years.
Still.
But, I mean, she should have stayed there.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely convinced she did it. I'm not. Because to me, like, and I watched some other documentaries on this case, that the evidence is too thin.
I bet they could, if they maybe focused a little bit harder, they could probably...
They never established a good enough motive.
They could probably figure out how tall the person was that was shooting.
They did. I mean,
angle.
it might have been her, but I just don't think so. I really don't think. She was a very prissy lady.
I think she probably hired somebody.
She hired somebody, but or she didn't, and she had nothing to do with it, and it was just an associate of it. Ron was a gambler. He was a womanizer.
Oh, yeah,
he had a lot of enemies.
That's true.
And I'm just not convinced beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that she did it. So I think she should be out, and I think that it should be vacated until they figure out better evidence. Prosecution needs to get their shit together.
Because it's not like her fingerprint was on the gun. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, there was no evidence tying her to the murder weapon other than it was just conveniently.
There was no any evidence tying her to the murder itself. She lived there, so of course. But who knows? I mean, I think Occupant's razor, we can definitely say she probably did it.
Right.
She definitely had help. And I just think
She definitely had motive.
Where's her motive? I mean, that he cheated on her? I mean, I guess, but that seems pretty flimsy to me. Most women who are cheated on just take the dude to the cleaners in divorce court.
That's true.
She would have done better that way unless she had signed a prenup, and I didn't see that anywhere, so I don't know.
The whole lover type thing, the revenge kill of like, he was cheating on someone
Woman scorned,
who probably had a lover as well, so their lover found out about, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, but I just don't see a lot of women killing some dude for cheating.
No,
That's not usually how it goes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm agreeing with
like
you.
Like a husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have been killed by a husband. He could have been killed because he owed gambling debts he didn't want to pay.
That happens a lot.
He could have been killed because somebody wanted to rob him. He could have been killed for a variety of reasons. I do not think they established a good enough motive for me to buy this. That's all.
I mean, it is kind of just like whenever you hear this story, you're like, oh yeah, the woman did it, but...
I never take it at face value.
Yeah.
I keep an open mind until the end.
Well, that's the thing is you have to have more than one piece of evidence that points to the same person. I really do feel like there should be like a golden number, like 3 or 5, that at least you have to have that set amount of different types of evidence pointing to the exact same person.
I agree.
Because it's just not... Yeah, it has to be fair.
We don't need 3 or 5 points of evidence to talk about business time, though.
Girl!
Yeah. Oh, it came to me as you were talking. I was like, here it come. Here it come. Because I'm always trying to make a smooth transition. And since I can't
It's chunky
do
peanut
that,
butter, y'all.
We know that. We're just going to make it ridiculous now. So... I have a couple mystery boxes left, you guys, and thank you for ordering them. And that just means because I have a couple left doesn't mean it's like shitty stuff. It's some really great stuff. You will get some art. You will get some jewelry. You will get some soap. You don't know what you'll get. It's a mystery, but you're going to like it. Now, if there's anything, for example, you don't want in that mystery box, like, hey, my ears aren't pierced, please don't send me earrings. Or, hey, if I smell bananas, I will throw up. Be sure and tell me, because I don't want to give you something that you hate. That's sad. Like if you don't have a bathtub, just tell me, hey, I ain't got a bathtub, don't send me a bath bomb.
Or, hey, I hate pink, don't give me anything pink.
Yes, because I have all those things and I might send them to you and then you'll be sad. I want you to be delighted when you open up your mystery box. And I am shipping out, if you've ordered one, everything gets shipped out Monday. I'm putting them all together. Our local post office... The lady is so mean.
Girl, she's so mean.
She is the meanest bitch.
Mean. And it's so sad because, like, my little autistic toddler, one of his favorite places is the post office, and she just mean mugs him the whole time, and he's so precious. Just rude. They're just rude there.
They are rude, and I don't like it. In addition to that, I don't use them now. So don't worry. Yeah. But I can't tell you how many packages have gotten lost going through that post office.
Yeah, we've had some issues with Patreon letters there and packages. And I know people have gotten mad at us for things and you for your own art and stuff.
Yes,
like that.
Ever since 2020, the quality of the USPS has gone way downhill. Yeah. And I would use UPS. Y'all, they worse. They just straight up break my shit. Well, so
and you know, we're not throwing shade at all of the drivers and stuff because
no, it's not the drivers.
Well, and I know that just like everybody in the packaging and distribution
overworked.
Yep.
Now, this is no shade on the little guy. It's that the budget cuts to the United States Postal Service have really gone down in quality. But here's my guarantee to you. If there's tracking, and there always is, and it shows that it went away into the ether or you got porch pirated or it arrives broken, I have insurance. I insure everything I send.
Right.
I will get a refund and you will too. And that's just how that works. And
you have to say something.
But you do have to say something. Please just don't let it twist in the wind. I don't know if you don't tell me because I ship hundreds of things a month and I am not watching them tracking numbers. That tracking number is for you. So please tell me. Remember, I'm not Walmart.
Yeah.
You must tell me. I will make it right with you no matter what. But it's part of the reason we moved away from letters for that many. It was too insane. And like 3 would go missing every single time. So I'm just multiple sending things out. Sucks.
Right.
But anyway, if you want a mystery box, I do have a couple left. I'm also still running my sale on tarot readings and star charts. Maris now has slots open. He didn't. So if you messaged me and I told you that he had too many, he is free now, so you may message me again. A star chart is an illustration of the stars on a certain date. This can be a birthday, anniversary, whatever day is important to you, and he will illustrate the stars and constellations in kind of an old-timey way. You can see examples of these on his Instagram, which is linked in our link tree. So click and go look. He's so talented, and they make the most beautiful gift. Yeah. He can personalize them too. Like if you tell him, I want there to be cats on it, well, he'll put cats on it, and he'll put names on it. He has beautiful handwriting, so check that out. And you get a full 10-card spread from me, and it's like a 3 to 5 page write up, and I really go in depth into the cards. I have almost 30 years of experience, and for those two things, it's $45, and I think that's a pretty good deal for an original art. It's an 8x10 watercolor painting, and that includes shipping too. So there's that. Also, Patreon. Hey, we have one. Did you know?
Yeah. We love our patrons.
We do. We do 3 to 4 bonus episodes a month. In addition, we do some and that's the tea, which are like after episode discussions or just whenever we feel like talking. We're about to record one this weekend. The Patreon case I'm covering, that's a patrons only case, is going to be Mary Bell. She was a child serial killer, 11 years old. It's really interesting, but it's very disturbing. So
I'm excited about my next Patreon case.
What's it about?
I'm not covering anything murdery necessarily. I'm going into research about the doll houses, like the forensic doll houses.
I fucking love those.
And I love that so much. I'm really I just love miniatures and doll houses in any way.
I'm excited for this.
But yeah, I'm excited to tell you guys about that. That's
the rest of the month on Patreon. You can hear about some more forensic science and child serial killer, plus all the tons and tons of content we already have up there.
Right. Like this is going to be episode 283.
Something like that.
And then
it's 280. 280.
Yeah. And then so on Patreon, we have about half of that additional.
Yes.
So yeah, we have, if you get on our Patreon today,
you could binge for like a month.
For $5, you will be able to listen to ad-free over 500 episodes right now.
Yeah. We pump out that content because you know what I hate? When I discover a new podcast or show and it's got like 3 episodes.
I I
won't do it.
I will not watch a TV show unless it has at least 3 seasons. If not, my heart is broken. I cannot cope, and I do not want to wait for that next episode. I will watch it all as long as it is done and finished.
Indeed, because a lot of shit I like got canceled.
Yep.
I've been burned too many times. So I felt that way about our podcast too. We wanted it to be bingeable.
That, and we didn't have 2 knuckles to scrape together to make this podcast.
2 nickels, you mean? We have knuckles.
Did I say knuckles?
You did.
I meant nickels. Dyslexia is weird.
Gonna knock the knuckles out of that pussy.
Nervous knuckles. But we are a podcast that is made by our patrons. Like, without you guys,
we couldn't have gotten new equipment.
We would not have been able to continue doing this. We wouldn't have had a second season. We definitely wouldn't have a 3rd season coming up, girl. We are almost there. I'm so excited.
Yeah, September makes 11 months into this year for our podcast
October
season.
is our 3rd season, and
start of the 3rd season. Yes, it's so exciting.
It's all y'all's fault. It's all because of you.
Only have yourselves to blame.
And I'm just very grateful for each and every single one of you. Even the people that haven't gotten on Patreon and want to. It's still,
Yeah, thank you for listening. Yeah. It is really, and all your lovely things, all the things you say mean so much.
Someone recently reached out and gave us just some of the most uplifting and kind words, and like like fueled my encouragement. And every time you guys say something nice, it really does. It really does make it happen.
It does make it happen. That is true. And I am running another contest for Patreon. Become a $5 and up patron.
Yes.
And this month at the end, I will draw your name, and I am sending out a prize package to the tune of like over $200 worth of stuff from all of us.
Yes.
From all of us.
Yes. And I'm making some stuff for that too. And we've already got quite a few this month for that drawing already.
Yes, we do.
I'm really excited about that.
I am too. So yeah, and I will keep running little contests like this because you know what? They're fucking fun, and I like to.
And y'all deserve it.
You do deserve it.
We all deserve a little treat every now and then.
Yes, we do.
And if you guys want to give us a little treat, we have a coffee fund.
We do. Hey, I also would like to inform you that in a couple weeks, it's my birthday.
That's right, girl.
And I want to take a minute, and I have a minute because I say so, to tell you what you all have done for me in the past.
Aw, Lillian.
Yes. If you all had not helped us, me and Maris would not have had a very lovely 10th anniversary.
That was very sweet.
We went to the Barbie movie, and we went to a Chinese buffet, and we had like the best time. We hadn't been on a date in ages, and we were so excited. I meant to take pictures, but I was just so excited. We were the only ones in the theater laughing.
Oh,
because everyone else brought their kids, and I was like, oh no, this is not for children, because the kids were like, I don't get it, and the parents were like, shut up. And me and Maris were like hooting. Like when Ken said, I have all the genitals, I lost my mind. It was so funny. It was just the cutest, funniest movie. If you haven't seen Barbie movie, go see it. It's so good. It's so fun. It'll make you hate men forever.
Oh, I should go.
Yeah, and it makes Ben Shapiro real mad if you go, and that's fun too. Also, I had, for the first time in my adult life, I had a real birthday last year.
Oh, that's right.
I did have I got a present. I went out and got a little cake. A friend sent me a little cake, and I went out and I got takeout.
Yes.
So I didn't have to cook.
And didn't you get didn't somebody buy you like a cool shirt or something? You got some.
I got a cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
I got a cool t-shirt. I got a little cake, and I got to go out. And I really, until the podcast, we just don't get to do those things.
Can I also say something too?
Yeah.
Earlier this year, whenever I got my tax returns in, I had scheduled a tattoo appointment with my tattoo artist, and then a bunch of bills happened, and then our car
your car exploded.
And the day before my tattoo appointment, I was like, well, now we're out of money, I can't afford my tattoo. And all I did was go into Discord and just kind of boo-hoo about it and just kind of feel sorry for myself. And all of y'all, so many listeners pitched in to help me get this tattoo. And the reason why, and I don't want it to sound superficial, I have carpal tunnel in my right hand, and so I got a tattoo on my left hand for visual remembering to you got to use it or lose it type thing. And this tattoo has helped me learn how to use my left hand. I couldn't do anything with my left hand. I tried to make a sandwich the other day, and I remembered to learn to, try to practice with my left hand. You guys are really saving my carpal tunnel in my right hand.
Yes, we get it from all the research. No shit, I had carpal tunnel so bad last night, I could barely sleep. It hurt so much.
I'm starting to have to move my mouse to my left hand and everything.
I'm getting a brace for my wrist.
Thank you.
Yes, but if you would like to donate to this year's birthday fund, what would I like to do? Well, I just would like some tiramisu I don't have to make.
She loves tiramisu.
My favorite. I get it every birthday.
And you get vape flavored tiramisu.
I do get vape flavored tiramisu. I just love it. It's the best dessert on fucking earth. It's chocolate, it's cream, it's coffee. What's not to love?
I love you so much, but I think it's so mids.
I think you're a giant piece of fucking shit. And we're not friends now. You're mid. Huh? What do you think about that shit? Number one, you use some cringy ass teenager vernacular to diss my favorite dessert. And that was bogus. That's the kind of slang I like from the time when I was young. You're bogus, you're not bitchin', and that was not rad in any capacity, dude.
I like brownies and ice cream.
You know what? Brownies is too much. Girl, it's too much. It's not light or fluffy. It's heavy. It makes me feel like I ate a brick. You could take your brownie and shove it up your butt where it belongs.
Oh, I love Lillian's birthday time.
Look, I am of the opinion, y'all, that when it is the month of your birthday, you birthday queen for a month.
You are. Mm-hmm.
Why is this not a thing? No, I don't want
still
anything.
2 weeks prior to it, but it's fine. You can be queen today.
I do not want anything extravagant, but I want y'all to understand what the month of September looks like for me.
Right.
It's not fun. I have to get ready for Halloween. Mm-hmm. Not to have a good, fun Halloween. That's never happened since I've been an adult. I've been too poor and had too many kids, and they ruin everything. It's me making soap in preparation for the ginormous, crazy rush people want. Like, they want me to be done with my Halloween stuff now.
Yeah.
Look, we don't play that game.
Yeah.
It'll come out in October. Calm
Marshall's.
down. I am not Marshall's. I am Lillian, and there's one, and there's only one that makes all this stuff, and I'm tired.
I can't help you with soap, girl. It hurts my eyeballs. I don't see how you do it.
I just embrace the pain. Life is suffering. Yeah, because I make it with lye, and that shit.
I don't like to come over whenever you're making soap.
No, it hurts everyone's lungs.
Yeah.
I'll probably die of some soap-related illness. Anyway, I am making all the Halloween soaps. I don't have time for anything. I don't have any money because I put it all into supplies to make fucking soap.
Right.
Because I will sell out. I do every year. I sell out within minutes. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have some pre-sales pretty soon. But if you want to help me out on my birthday, get me some tiramisu and a coffee. And like a little romantic dessert date with my spouse. My details are below. I will have a wish list, but it's probably just going to be fucking art supplies. It always is.
Yeah.
Because
you should see her Amazon list.
It's just like, I need
supplies.
an eraser.
Yeah.
And a new mechanical pencil. Yeah. I'll try and put some fun things on there, but it's really hard when you need stuff, you know? Yeah. But yeah, if all you do, though, to support this podcast is listen, you're fucking great, and I love you. Yeah. Unlike Willow, who's a giant fucking turd. Name something you like. Now, do it. Name something you like. I want to hear it.
No.
I don't care what it is. Oh, why? Because I'm going to shit on it? Because it's rude?
I love poking at you. It's fun.
Not even hard. Most people won't do it because they think I'm scary. I'm not scary.
She's like, I will eat you whole. I'm like, hell yeah.
Tie on a bib, bitch.
Get it. She's like, I'm gonna deck you one. I'm like, oh yeah, deck me two. Deck me three.
Oh, honey, if I laid you out, you'd have to go to the hospital. You don't want me to do that.
Turn my lights off.
I mean, that's fair.
Yep.
No, what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna sit you down and have a hard conversation.
No, the thing that Lillian does when she wants to get back at me for any shenanigans that I pull is she sits me down and she tells me face to face, like, good things about me that I don't want to hear.
Yes, it's very fun.
That's the worst. That's the shit I don't like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I meant by difficult conversation. I'm going to tell you that your hair looks good.
Ew, stop it.
Eat nice things that are healthy for your body because you deserve to be nice to yourself, Willow. Don't eat turds like you thought I was going to say. Anyway.
I'm just so divine. I just pick dog turds up off the ground and yeah.
I wish that life was just a John Waters movie.
Sometimes I
don't you just want to roll around in it like a pig? I do.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I'd
Aliens are real, and that's weird. I'm not doing okay, y'all. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
She jokes about it all the time. She's never gonna do it. It's just
what?
K.
Special K?
Yeah.
I did it not that long ago.
Oh, never mind. My bad. I don't know who she is.
Bitch needed a reset and a nap. Look, it's supposed to help with depression, and I have not been well.
It's called a tranquilizer.
I wanted to feel tranquil. I didn't want to feel anything. Okay, I've been stressed. I'm just going to be honest. All my children's are leaving my house because they're adults. It's made me sad. My dog got sick one time, and I've been a nervous wreck about it ever since. Like, I'm always, checking Bunny's pulse. And she's like, you don't even know what you're doing. That's her eyes, what they say to me. And I'm like, I don't care. You're alive, and that's good. Like, she'll sneeze, and I'm like, oh, God, she's dying. And then I took on an art commission I shouldn't have.
Oh, we're going there.
We are going there. Look, desperate times, sometimes you take an art commission, and it's stupid. And I don't even want my name on it. I'm not going to describe it just in case, off chance this person's listening. And if they are, really fuck them anyway. But they were inappropriate. They demanded free labor. It was causing me just horrific stress. They have been refunded, and I'm back. It was just making me so sad. It just like fucked me up for 2 months.
It was orc titties and
Orc titties.
Just, you know,
I don't mind drawn titties. That wasn't the problem. It was
the muscular structure.
Look, I'm an artist and I like anatomy. And if you are a very muscular person, you're not going to have big jubblies unless they are breast implants.
She said, do orcs have breast augmentation?
In this world. Do they? Otherwise, I find this a little offensive and unrealistic. I should have just shut the fuck up. But I can't, because I'm an asshole. An idiot. Stop laughing at me. No, it's just any way to get out of making this a cartoony, awful representation of my work. That's what it was. I'm not even a snob. Oh, I am a little bit of a snob. I shouldn't be. I live in nowhere, Arkansas, and have no money. I should not be a snob. But I am sometimes, so.
She's a Virgo.
I can't help it. I was born naturally great, and it just means that I have good taste, and I can't help that I have good taste. I was just born this way. You want to start? Because I'm feisty today. Anyway, I have rambled nonsensically for the last 15 minutes, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Is business time over? Yes,
Sure.
Because I'm over. I'm done. I'm over myself. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in as always. I do see, again, we have new listeners. Hello. I'm sorry. I just got to apologize at the end of every episode.
It's her birthday coming up. She has
It's almost my birthday.
like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Fuck off. It's September 3rd, 1979.
You know what's cute, if you're still listening? She turns 44 this year. I turned 33 this year. We are 11 years apart. That's 112. Oh, I forgot the 22. Still, it's cute. There's syncopation.
Well, Willow's having a stroke. I'm going to go get her medical attention. You all have a wonderful night. Goodbye.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.